See if we can even begin to match our conversation the other night, which I really enjoyed.
It was great to see you. That I was in a good mood.
Yes, that's no longer the case.
No, I mean, yes, every day gets a little bit more enervating, but no,
because things are going well for the movie, and
yes,
you came into the festival having sold it already.
Just before, it was all very interesting, and I guess it takes a kind of burden off of one part of the process. But for me, the most important thing is seeing it with an audience and just feeling how it plays. And the first screening was kind of awkward because the sound was a little off in the cinema, and it was just kind of traumatic. But then I got, and also I couldn't get online afterwards or in the morning, so I had no idea what the kind of press reaction was. So I felt, I felt bad about the screening, and then I had no other information about how other people thought about it. So I thought, that's it, I really fucked this one up. I should just go home now. But as you know, people seem to have liked it.
If I've got your number a little bit correctly, I mean you're exacting. You have high standards of performance for yourself.
Well, I think one of the reasons for seeing a film with an audience is to understand your own mistakes, and make good on them next time. I mean, documentaries in particular have many almost inbuilt imperfections because of what you're doing is you're trying to create a very smooth, if you like, not as smooth but it's smooth in terms of the consumption of a narrative with very unwieldy elements. So there's always these sort of imperfections that you discover and you need to learn from them.
Are you able to go back in and refine?
No, I think that's the pity of it in a way. I'm not sure I would want to. It's more, you did your best in those circumstances. It's done. It's finished. People have responded well to it. They've responded the way I wanted them to respond.
But I mean, in this universe where distribution is so hard to achieve, you scored HBO right off the bat.
There's definitely a theatrical
I've heard,
deal coming one way or another.
Yes.
And my hands are clean. Whatever happens,
you have nothing to do with it.
I have my view on things, but I don't make deals.
So after Man on Wire, it must have been easier to get this movie made.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the great virtue of having a film, in a sense, that's perceived to be successful, which is as important as being successful, is that I mean, as a filmmaker, you're always looking to make the next film, because it's a very precarious life we lead. I mean, I'm saying don't feel sorry for us, but that definitely allowed me to make another film of this type. I made another film called Red Riding in between.
Yes, which I saw. I saw your episode, which was excellent.
Which was a very good thing to have gone straight from Man on Wire and not get caught up in the whole ballyhoo of that film and the promotion of it. And when I was working, which felt like a good thing to be doing, and working on a very interesting project. And so this is the next documentary I made. But you're right, it's been quite easy to pull together the financing for it at the level we were happy with, and to make a film properly, which is the first time I've ever done it, quite honestly. Always, even Man on Wire wasn't a big budget, and we struggled with that film to do what we were trying to do with it.
But you learned a lot on Man on Wire, and you employed some of those techniques on this film as well.
I have quite a long career as a documentary filmmaker in TV and in Britain, going back to the mid-90s. So definitely Man on Wire felt to me like there's some expression of all the things I've been trying to do for maybe 10 years, and they all kind of coalesced around this great story, this wonderful gift of a story that I was given. And the big responsibility was not to fuck it up.
Now you were also handed all of this footage.
In Man on Wire.
No, in that case.
In both films.
In this, exactly.
But
what about Project Nim?
They don't hand it to you. You have to go and look for it. But actually, Philippe, that was a whole other story. With Project Nim, we knew there was enough archive to make the film viable. We had to be able to see the chimpanzee at certain points of life, and we were aware that should exist. What we didn't know was there were two spectacular discoveries. One was the sequence where you see a mated chimpanzee for the very first time. We had no idea that existed.
That's amazing.
And it's so profound as a notion. Here is a very sentient, intelligent creature that doesn't quite know what he is. For 5 years, he's just seen human beings. And then he meets the chimpanzee, and we see this in the film, and it's very unsettling, that sequence, and kind of disturbing. We had no idea that existed, and likewise, later on in the film, there's a development in his life that's very regrettable, and there's footage of the very place where he is, and he's in that environment with the very person who is speaking to us on camera. Which I will not give away too much of the film, but that footage, we had no idea that in the laboratory, and that was an amazing discovery too.
Now, you also intersperse very formal, very elegant interviews with people in the present time. And the thing that struck me about this movie, forgive me, but they're all rather good looking.
They are, we're lucky. The same is true of Man on Wire. We had a very handsome cast. And there's perhaps a reason embedded in the film that why the women are attractive.
In bathing suits, hello?
Indeed, but given the nature of the film and the person who's employing these women, but that said, each of the women what's great about this story is that the women themselves are so strong and formidable, and it's their story, and the playing field has become equal now over time, and they were at the front, on the front of this experiment. They were doing all the really hard stuff, and there's no hierarchy anymore. The professor set up the experiment, and that's very commendable, but they did all the work, these succession of and they all went on to do very extraordinary things with their lives too. They're very capable, intelligent, smart women.
But this was the 70s, and so there's this whole other aspect of it, that this woman Stephanie, was she breastfeeding
She
this?
breastfed him for 2 months.
Chimp?
She didn't have really much milk to offer him, so he got kind of tired of that. He's very driven by very immediate needs, but it was a kind of a bonding thing. And to be fair to her, and is that's what she wanted to do as a mother. I mean, you're given this newborn baby who's a primate, in the same general zone as us, I guess. So that's what she wanted to do, to bond with the chimpanzee, and that was her way of doing it.